Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Everyone knows the X-Wing or Y-Wing, and the B-Wing is also familiar among Star Wars fans, but what about the E-Wing? It played a much more niche role in the Star Wars universe, although it's such a cool ship concept. It absolutely does not look like the letter E, but so does the B-Wing, so who cares? These two beautiful E-Wings were designed by builder Bostuds, who also built our Resistance Y-Wing and has a beautiful way of combining details and accuracy with sturdiness, but I'll show you that later on in the video. What exactly is the E-Wing? It was a starfighter used by the Rebels and designed to replace the X-Wing, but on the front line the Rebels noticed several problems, including malfunction of the wing-mounted laser cannons. By the time the Second Galactic Civil War broke out, the E-Wing was refined and used by the Resistance in the fight against the First Order. We see the E-Wing in several comics and games, but the most notable appearance was in the Ahsoka series, where it was first seen in live action in a blue color. Thankfully, Bostuds created both versions of the E-Wing, and it replaces our old model by Flying Waffle. If you like these models and want to build them for yourself, you know the deal. Head on over to www.brickvault.toys to get the instructions and parts lists, or click the first link in the video description right after watching this video. Each purchase helps fund another amazing creation that you can build for yourself, and you support not only us, but also the designers we work with, like Bostuds. And for the first time ever, we partnered with BrickVault to offer you the pieces you need to build our models for an exceptional price and much more easy and frustration free than using Bricklink to get the pieces. You can find more infos on our website and on the product page that we linked in the video description, and keep in mind this is just an additional option to get the pieces. Of course, you can always also use Bricklink. Both versions have just a little over 1000 pieces. We wanted to show you the build next to some other rather obscure models we have in the studio at the moment, so here you go. We are going to concentrate on the blue version first to show you all details, as most of the build and look is the same for both versions. Just some minor differences can be found that I'll point out later. The E-Wing comes with a black stand that angles the ship up a little, and the way it slots into the underside is probably the coolest way to attach a stand that I have ever seen. Two panel pieces slot into two slits on the underside of the model. It's super secure like this and can still be taken off very easily. On the underside you can already see that it is covered up really nicely, and we have integrated 3-point landing gear that can be deployed, so you can display it in a landing position. The top is where this model shines though. I'm certain there is not much Bostuds could have changed to make this look any closer to the live action starfighter we see in Ahsoka. It is a perfect blend between smooth and textured surfaces, just like the model in the show. The wings have been angled downward slightly and connected very strongly at that angle, so they won't move at all. We can find several instances of my favorite technique here, which is the use of panel pieces to smooth out angled parts and minimize gaps. Not only at the back of the wings, but also in the front it was used to good effect. I've now already seen quite a bunch of X-Wing models angle the walls on the nose of their ship to achieve this tricky angle, but the way Bostuds did is my favorite way of them all. The pieces just come together so naturally, you really have to experience this yourself. Similar to their Resistance Y-Wing, the techniques here were so cool and natural. Even if you're not interested in building this model yourself, I highly encourage you to get the instructions and learn a thing or two from Bostuds, because I certainly did. It feels like the pieces were made to come together like this. It's actually crazy. Of course, we can fit a pilot in the pilot seat, and he has a control console in front of him. Behind the cockpit we have a couple of small windows, so the pilot can turn around and take a look at his astromech buddy. Speaking of, there is a stud here to have an astromech headpiece here. I included it in the red E-Wing so you can see how it looks. Let's switch to the red version so you can see what I'm speaking of. And yes, as I already said, this is basically the same build with some colors switched out and a cannon added to the top of the cockpit. It too can be displayed on the stand or on the landing skids. There are a couple of additional red lines added to the wings, and the front now has a tan line, very similar to how Luke Skywalker's X-Wing looks. Now when it comes to stability, I think this is one of the most sturdy MOCS we have in the studio. It feels very solid and well made, and it sits in my hand very naturally, as if it was made for it. I had this at home for like a month or so before I brought it to the studio, and my girlfriend can confirm that I took 5 minutes each day to swoosh it around.
I can confirm.
The only section I found to be a little less sturdy are the wingtips. For the blue ones I never had any issues, but the red ones tips disconnected a couple of times, which leaves me thinking it's best to use new parts here for the connection so they have the most friction. But they only disconnected while hardcore swooshing, so not really a big issue now that I think back. If you want to check out the build yourself, visit www.brickvault.toys to get the instructions and parts list, and feel free to use Rebrick to get your pieces hassle-free. That's the all-new E-Wing by Bostods. Let me know which version you prefer. I think I like the blue one better personally. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.